This a series of lessons I'm taking on YouTube on the Unacademy platform, and this first session is essentially in these series of sessions. I'm going to be talking to you about the previous year questions, and we're looking at tricks and techniques, methods to solve them, and how you can improve your abilities. What kind of thought processes, etc., do you need to use and build in your mind? What kind of capacities do you need to build in your mind so that you can actually start solving like the toppers, right? So this is the first of this group of sessions. Previous year questions, tricks, and techniques, and welcome everyone to the lesson. So, without any further ado, I think the value of this program or the value of this course for you is going to be in the form of the fact that of course, YouTube sessions have a long shelf life. So, two angles through which I'm trying to look at my viewers and people who like viewing my videos to help to gain from, of course, from the live ones, but also since these are all previous year questions, over the next few sessions that I take on these previous year questions series, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help people understand their preparation level. So when you look at a previous year question from any area, so for example, today I'm picking up previous year questions from block one of my books, which is the chapters of number systems and progressions. So we are looking at questions from that area, and you'll use this in two ways. One way is for people who are starting off prep. Of course, in the CAT-20 perspective, most of you are now starting off prep. So if you're starting your prep, then the previous year questions ka usage and structure will the usage would be in the form of of learning from the questions and learning through the questions. This is one angle, and the second angle is later on, if you have already finished your prep. If you have already finished your prep, then the second part of this, or the second part of the learning, the second dimension of the learning, would be that it will be kind of a review of the chapter for you. The list of questions that I'm solving and sharing with you, this will be a review of the chapter. It will try to help you. It will not just try to help you, it will actually help you understand where your preparation is in the context of the chapter. So without any further ado, without any further delay, let's move to the first question for the day. And just like to remind you about the Unacademy Plus program. Unacademy Plus is a program on Unacademy. It's a subscription model on Unacademy where you actually get access to all kinds of courses, and uh, you get access to not just courses, you get access to quizzes, tests, etc., from top educators. And if you take the subscriptions are available for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So if you do take the subscription, you will get access to the courses of all the educators, live as well as recorded, for the time period that you are registered, as well as for 2 years from the date the session is taken. So do pick up, do look at joining Unacademy Plus. I am also one of the Plus educators on Unacademy. So you'll get some of my courses. I teach data interpretation and logical reasoning there on Academy Plus. So you'll get some of my DILR courses, as well as my courses on practice courses on quants, etc., on the Academy Plus platform. Right, Parth, you have a question. Yes, Unacademy does provide sectional tests and topic tests. They have, in fact, full length tests also. Uh, and with respect to my books, Parth, my 2020 CAT books QA will be coming up for revision, and my verbal book will come for revision. My DI and LR books were revised only this year, so they will not be revised in 2020. The next revision is scheduled for 2021. So QA is expected to come in May June, right? So if you want to start off preparing and not wait for that long, so it is prudent that you start off. I think after March April, I would prefer people to wait for the next edition. But since you're already preparing, and if you're wanting to look at preparing principally through my books, then this might be mm, it might be a good point of time to start. So the first question on your screen here, the first question on your screen here is the number of integers n satisfying minus n plus 2 greater than or equal to 0 and 2n plus 1 greater than 4, greater than or equal to 4. So minus n plus 2 greater than or equal to 0 and 2n greater than or equal to 4. And the question is asking us how many integers are going to satisfy this condition. So I would like you to try to solve this first, and after that I'll explain the process for this. Yeah, Pat, the new edition will come around June, maybe May June. May June will be the release, depending on how McGraw-Hill plans it. So now these inequality kind of number system questions are best solved on the number line. So what you do in this question is going to be looking at, think of the number line. I'll talk about it, Harsh. I'll talk about it definitely. Review of quants CAT-19. I'll talk about it. Let's first do this question. So when you think on the number line, first of all, think about this angle. Minus n plus 2 has to be greater than or equal to 0. When does that happen? Right? So you're looking at n being an integer, and minus n plus 2 greater than or equal to 0. And for something like this to happen, you have to think about on the number line, if this is 0, where will this start happening? If you put 0 here, you will see that this is going to be 2. 2 greater than or equal to 0 satisfies. If you put a minus 1 here, minus n will become plus 1. So on this side also it's working. But if you go on this side, 1, add 1, you will see that minus n is minus 1 plus 2, so that value becomes 1. And if you go to 2, add 2, minus n is minus 2 and 2 is plus 2. So minus 2 plus 2 gives you 0, and hence you will think about this being the range to the left of 2. To the left of 2, everything is the range for minus n plus 2 becoming greater than or equal to 0. So this is the range on the number line where this is satisfied. That's the first part. Now as you move on and try to think of the second expression, and you try to think of 2n greater than or equal to 4, and you try to think about when this will happen, 2n greater than or equal to 4. So and the best thing in inequalities is to try to put values and try to work that way. So if you put n as 0, you can see that 2n greater than or equal to 4 is not happening. At n equals 1, 2n greater than or equal to 4 is not happening. So n equals 2 पे ये हो रहा है, और n equals 3 पे भी होगा, और n equals 4 पे भी होगा, and everywhere to the right of 2 this is going to happen. So what you realize is that This second inequality is happening from this point all the way to the right, and the first inequality was happening from this point all the way to the left. So the only common value which is working for both sides is going to be 2, and hence the correct answer to this question is option B, which is there is only one such value. Now, Harshvardhan, your question, review of CAT Quants 2019 CAT of CAT of the CAT 2019 paper. So, if you have solved 23, it will depend on how many you got correct, right? So I would typically tend to think that the 99th percentile. This is my prediction. Other people are differing, might differ on this, and I've not really tried to look at what everybody is saying about this. But my prediction about this would be that the 99th percentile would approximately be in the 65 plus range, right? Because this paper was tougher than the CAT 17 paper. So yeah, so it was tougher than the CAT 17 paper and easier than the CAT 18 paper. CAT 18 में 99 percentile happened at 55, while CAT 17 में 99 percentile happened at 65, 75. So we are somewhere in between. So at the point of around 65 marks, I mean, I would think that it can, of course, these are all predictions. Hi Aditya, welcome to the class, welcome to the session. So these are all predictions which can go off by 5 marks plus minus, because you basically try to do these things based on gut feels, right? And my gut feel about the 99 percentile on the 100 on the overall score is in the range of 145 to 150, which is around 5 marks down, according to me, based on last year's estimates. Other people have talked about it being 155, 160, I'm told. But I base it based on what I felt while solving the paper in terms of the difficulty level and so on. So this is the first question, right? So I hope I have answered your query, Harshvardhan. And Aditya, welcome to the class, and everybody else, welcome to the session. Decision making, yes, I'll do that. That happens. You will that session on Unacademy Plus you're talking about, Aditya, or was it on the special classes that I took on the decision making one? I've taken on both the platforms, both the special class, which is an open class for everyone, and also for you talking about the special class. I'll schedule more. Don't worry. So let's look at this second question. Try to solve it. Read this. I'll give you a minute or so to think about this, and then we'll talk about this. ठीक है आदित्य, I'll definitely do this. I'll definitely do a couple of more sessions for you guys. Yes, I remember that day we could do only 3 questions because I was talking more about the general prep processes. तो मैं कुछ सेशंस ले लूँगा उस पर तुम लोग के डिसीजन मेकिंग पे. So look at this. Look at this question. It's a good question. So what has happened here is Iqbal and Mushtaq, and something what Harsh is talking about here. He mucked up a lot of tricks and techniques, but inside the CAT, I did everything by normal methods. That is something which actually, when you plan your CAT prep, what has to happen? You see, if you learn a trick or a technique, suppose I teach you a trick or technique in this YouTube session, it is my technique, it's not yours, right? Now, if you, and hence if you've just seen that technique and you're trying to implement it, it will not work for you. Inside that, especially under pressure, work nahi karega because the mind will go back to what you have practiced completely. So what will happen is if you really want your tricks and techniques to work inside the exam, you have to be able to you have to reach a point where you've implemented at least in five different questions, or in five or in same question five times. Any technique, the thumb rule is this: any technique, if you have implemented at least five times in your practice or mock tests, those techniques will work in the exam. Those techniques will work in the exam. No other technique will work in the exam. Any technique which you have just seen or tried to mug up will not work in the exam. And hence, uh, if you are picking up a technique, make sure that you check yourself about being able to or you check yourself. Yes, 31 is the right answer, Aditya. So if you are picking up a technique, you have to make sure that uh, you create a system, or you create a structure, so that you have at least 3 to 5 repetitions of that during a prep process. Otherwise, picking up techniques, and that's why I tell people by July, August, September, whatever techniques you can pick up, you pick up so that you can practice it five times at least. A lot of students I see keep trying to picking up techniques in October, November. It can't happen. CAT में ये नहीं होता है कि नवंबर 10 को एक टेक्निक सीखे और 24 नवंबर को जाके एग्जाम में इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिए, राइट? Slot 1, I'm not sure. I've not really checked that paper, Aditya. Slot 2, I can tell you it will be a pretty low score, maybe somewhere in the 30s or early 40s. But slot 1 mein 99 percentile, I'm told slot 1 was significantly easier than slot 2. So I can't predict much about that because I didn't take that paper, and I've not seen that paper or analyzed that paper inside out, given the fact that it just came out yesterday. But going forward, I will do. But वो 10 mark plus में तुम्हारा कितना score आ रहा है? Yes, slot 2 was very difficult comparatively. So let's come back to this question. Uh, yes, slot 1 was easy. So I'm expecting maybe the 99 percentile slot 1 might be around 50, whereas slot 2 might vary by around 10, 15 marks at least, right? Fine, let's come back. So this question, if you give me a certain number of your cards, I'll have. So what has happened is the pack of cards is 52 cards, but he's not giving all the cards away. So he's taking only some cards. So Iqbal has some cards, Mushtaq has some cards, right? And Iqbal says to Mushtaq that if you give me some cards, if you give me a certain number of cards, let's say n cards are transferred, I will have four times as many cards as you will have. So Iqbal's cards plus n should be a multiple of 4. That's the first reaction at this point. देखो आदित्य, if you scored 54 and you're looking at 6 to 9 marks more, उतना सबका होता है कैट में. It never happens that you know 65 marks and you'll solve 65. You'll be off by around 10 marks from what you know. So that regret, I guess, everybody will have in the exam, right? So given the fact that I plus n is a multiple of 4, you're trying to look at the options given to you, and if you look through the question is asking you the number of cards with Iqbal. So the options given in the question talk about 9, 31, 12, and 35. So if you think about 9 to start with, Iqbal has 9 cards. So a multiple of 4, when you add some cards to 9, a multiple of 4 can only be accessed at 12, 16, 20, and so on. And after Iqbal has I plus n cards, Mushtaq must have m minus n cards because he's given n cards away. And m minus n into 4, this into 4, should be that value. So essentially, in this situation, m minus n ends up becoming 3, 4, or 5, or whatever you look at that way. But before we start considering which option to pick up and look at, we will start looking at the other angles to this question. And what this says is, if I give you the same number of cards, I will have thrice as many cards as you will have. So from 9, if I am still checking with 9, from 9 to get to 12, the value of n should be 3. Which means that from 6 to get to 3 after subtracting 3, you need to have 6. And what it's saying is that if the transfer is reversed, this side, n cards go this way. Iqbal is saying that I still have more cards, thrice as many cards as you have. I still have thrice as many cards as you have. So what should happen essentially, if I just clean this board now, what has to happen essentially that Iqbal's cards plus n has to be a multiple of 4 and Iqbal card minus n has to be a multiple of 3. So if based on that, if you look at an option like 12, the closest multiple of 4 on the plus side is 16, which needs a plus 4. But a minus 4 does not give you a multiple of 3. And hence an answer like 12 can't work, because even the next number 20 with a plus 8 does not satisfy the minus 8 condition, because 12 minus 8 ends up at 4. So it is not satisfying that condition. So hence a value like 12 definitely goes away. And since Iqbal has more cards than Mushtaq, that's very clear from this. You first pick up a number which is on the higher side. So you have two options on the higher side, 31 and 35. So when I'm telling you how to solve these questions, it is my responsibility to show you how you should think within the question so that you exactly mimic or go down the same path. So if I have 31, 35, 35 say multiple of 4 on the positive side is at a plus 1 or a plus 5. And at plus 1, this becomes 36. At plus 5, this becomes 40. While at minus 1, it becomes 34. And at minus 1, it has to be a multiple of 3, which is not happening. At minus 5, it becomes 30. So it does happen at this point. But if you match the other numbers there, that after giving 5 cards away to Iqbal, Mushtaq must have 10 cards because he's 1/4 that number, which means Mushtaq originally had 15 cards. And if he gets 5 cards from Iqbal, his cards, if Iqbal is subtracting the cards, Mushtaq will be adding the cards. So 20-30 does not match the 3:1 ratio. So if you end up picking 35, which obviously normally between 31 and 35 you would have picked up 31. At 31 plus 1, 32. Mushtaq needs to be at 8, which means he is at 9 minus 1. And at 31 minus 1, which is 30, Mushtaq is at 9 plus 1, which is 10. And this is clearly 3 times. And hence both the angles are met. And hence the number of cards is 31. Option B for this question. So let's look at another question. We have time for another question here. And this is again a question that goes on trial and error and on your numerical logic rather than mathematical logic. And CAT is very much dominant, or what dominates the CAT exam. Even if you look at this year's paper, you will see. Hi Shivam, welcome to the session. You'll see a lot of questions that were much simpler through numerical logic than through mathematical processes. So if you look at this next question, in Sivakasi, each boy's quota of match 6 to fill into boxes is 200 per session. So 200 is less than 200 per session. If he reduces the number of sticks per box by 25, he can fill 3 more boxes with the total number of sticks assigned to him. Now, this is something which I tell people that if you read statements like this in maths, you have to be able to identify, when you read statements like this in maths, you have to be able to identify the fact that there are two variables in this question. And what it is saying is that if you drop the number of sticks per box by 25, the number of boxes you can fill is going to go up by 3. If you drop this by 25, the number of boxes will go up by 3. Which of the following is the possible number of sticks assigned to each boy? Now this question is a classic question. If you go numerically on this, x into y or n into x, whatever you use for the variables, you're going to get stuck badly in this question, because you're going to keep getting sucked into a lot of algebraic writing and equations. Whereas numerically, all you have to do is, suppose you pick up an option like 200. I'm picking up a wrong option to show you how you think in this. You pick up an option like 200 and you write the factor pairs of 200. 1 into 200, 2 into 100, 4 into 50, 5 into 40, 8 into 25, and 10 into 20. That's all. 11, 12, 13 do not divide, and 14 do not divide 200. And if you find the factor pairs of 200, you realize that you need two factors. One xy, one pair is xy. Another pair is where one of x or y is dropping by 25 and the other is growing by 3. So if you look for a 25 drop, you can see a 25 drop happening here from 50 to 25. But a corresponding plus 3 is not happening here, because that's a plus 4. And the question is saying plus 3 here. So 200 does not work in this case. So if you go for the next option, which is talking about 150, and you try with 150 and you do the factor pairs on 150, the factor pairs on 150 is 150, 275, 350, 4 is not working, 530, 625, and you need to be quick with these factors, otherwise the advantage of this solving will go away. 8 does not divide it, 9 does not divide it. In factors, you only have to search till the square root of 150. Once you find all the factors below the square root, the factors above the square root are automatically apparent. So if you're looking for a 25 drop here, there's a 25 drop here, but correspondingly there is not a plus 1 increase here. This is not, plus 3 increase is not happening. Then there's a 25 drop here from 50 to 25, and that's a plus 3. And you realize that if every box capacity was 50, you would fill 3 boxes. If you drop the capacity to 25, you would fill 6 boxes. And hence this would be the correct answer, and 150 would be the right answer. So the skills required inside this question are going to be essentially built on factor searches. Doing a factor search as well is going to be an important component of the skills required to be able to master these kind of questions. And you can appreciate, if you go with an x into y kind of a situation in this question, and x plus 3, x into y is equal to t, and x plus 3 into y minus 25 is equal to t again, you can't solve this question algebraically because there are two equations and three unknowns. So you really can't work this out, right? And hence you kind of get stuck. And if you do it this way, this is the only way, and this is the best way to handle such questions. So with that, I think I'm done with the session. We are running out of time for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this session and the learning experience that came from it. And I'll be coming back with more lessons or more classes on the previous year question series in this domain. Chalo. So with that, I will wind up. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you for attending, and bye bye, everyone. See you. God bless, and have a great attempt at the CAT whenever you're taking it next time. Chalo. Bye bye.